hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Sorry.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty well myself. Thank you for asking. I appreciate you joining me today on my podcast.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Of course. So, in a few words, tell us what you do and how'd you start?
What I do and how I started. Wow, that's a long story. Few words. Let's put that in a few words.
Well, tell the whole story then. Why not?
Well, really, what I'm doing now is different than I did pre-COVID. Well, I wouldn't say different. I would say expansion. So I've been in the health and wellness platform since 2016. And before that, I was a life and business coach. So I've always been helping people try to better themselves. And when COVID hit, I felt that there was a lot of frustration around the health area. So my expertise was in circulation, heart health, gut health, working on how to improve circulation and devices that would check that. And with COVID, that part of the business actually stopped. And I became frustrated, and talking to other people, they were really, really frustrated too. And who to believe, who not to believe, what to do, what not to do, being cooped up alone and losing money and business and friends. So I felt I had some expertise in the area, but not enough to be the prime responser. And so I went back to school and actually studied being a holistic health practitioner so that I could take my circulation expertise, my coaching expertise, put that all in a bowl, so to speak, and be able to offer people getting better health through not only modern methods, but with ancient technologies also. So I work on helping people in their mood and mind, their movement, and meals and nutrition. So those three areas, I help them make small, minor shifts so that they get huge results, so they can get more energy, more clarity, and better relationships. So that's kind of what I do.
So, what would you say is the biggest reason why people don't have enough energy?
People don't have enough energy. So there isn't one reason. I would say probably one of the biggest reasons is they're not getting the proper nutrition into their body so that their bodies can fuel energy, clarity, all that kind of things, even relationships, because if your body is not working for you, your mind shuts down. And when your mind shuts down, you can't do the things that you think you can do. So probably the biggest is nutrition, but it is followed by stress, right? And also by how we're moving throughout the day, because being stuck at a desk like I am now, like you are now, is not good for the body. It's not good for the mind. It's not good for our moods. So we need them all, but I first like to talk to people about really what are they feeding into their body, nutrition wise, stress wise, movement wise, and then go from there, see what's most important to them, where they need the help most. And that's where we start making those minor shifts.
Right. So, how long have you been involved in health and wellness?
Since 2012, I was introduced to a device that measured circulation. It just had been FDA approved, and I just thought it was magic. And so started marketing that device and really helping people improve their circulation, because without proper circulation, even if you have good nutrition, the nutrients can't get to the organs. So that's how long I've been doing it.
And how long have you had your own practice?
Oh, I've been self-employed since, gosh, I don't know if I should say this. I've been self-employed since 1988.
Okay, that's wow. You have a lot of experience. What are some of the businesses that you started from then until now?
So the first business was a service business, actually doing marketing. I worked for a company. I was in sales and marketing department, and I decided to step back from the company, and so they hired me as a consultant. So that was the first thing that I started with, and then actually I got into cosmetics, which was totally out of my wheelhouse. So I didn't wear makeup, but I saw the need for people to start taking care of themselves. So I focused on skincare for men and women, and not only the proper products to put on their bodies, but the attitude that they needed to display the new you.
I see. And then after that,
And so after that, I got into coaching. I had a group of people that I was teaching and training, and I felt that I needed more knowledge on how to get them motivated, how to not let the small things bother them, and to help them improve their business. And so I went to school to become a life coach, and I fell in love with it so much that eventually I became a full-time coach, and stopped actually coaching women. Most of my clients were women in the skincare company, and started working with the men in the financial um, uh, segment. So I did a lot of insurance people and financial planners, bankers, um, just because I'm a very numbers person. I relate well, and I can find the soft side of an individual and expand on that so that they can use their entire their being to be a good salesperson, not just numbers or um, you know the benefits, but to see make real connections, I guess.
and that's what sets you apart from others. That's what you think.
I think you're right. I really try to have great relationships with all of my clients, whether it's a coaching client or it was a team member or now someone in the holistic practice. You really have to get to know people and what makes them tick. And in order to do that, you really sometimes have to ask some really hard questions, which for me initially, gosh, when I first started coaching, it was hard for me to ask those tough questions because I felt like, oh gosh, maybe I'm prying, or maybe they don't want to share, or maybe it's none of my business. And when I went from a place from the only way I can help is to ask the tough questions, and they have the choice of not answering, right? So so it's their responsibility to not answer, and it's my responsibility to ask the questions.
Right. And that's definitely that can fix a lot of problems. If someone decides to open up, it's kind of like a therapist. You have to open up fully to actually get help.
Absolutely. That is so right. And now as a holistic health practitioner, I mean, we talk about bodily functions, right? So it's a little even more personal than it was just as a regular coach, because we're looking at digestion issues, because if you're not eating properly, things don't work right inside your body in all different areas. So, we even go there. So, yeah, there's got to be a lot of trust.
Yeah. What's some of your biggest obstacles being an entrepreneur?
Well, being entrepreneur, of course, there's always money, right? Having enough money to do marketing properly, to expand the business, to hire third party help when it's necessary. Money is always, always a big obstacle. And I really believe that there is a responsibility to the way you handle money. And to me, that means that you don't go into debt just because it's the next sparkly thing and it's going to make you $1 million. You really have to think, plan, and conceive what you're going to do. And I have always tried to have the money first and then spend it. Not always possible, but at least to have a plan so that I don't go into jump into something without a parachute to really be able to focus. I had a great aunt back, gosh, a million years ago before I went into business when I was 20 years old. And she said, I'm going to introduce you to Marvin. I'm like, okay, well, I'll meet Marvin. Well, who's Marvin? Marvin is a financial planner and he's going to help you. And without that advice and without his help, I'd be one of those, baby boomers that didn't know where the next dollar was coming from, that would be scared of my retirement. And now, I have plenty of cash to be able to plan for a wonderful future. And it's because of the lifelong desire and planning of my finances.
And along with that, a lot of people have anxiety around money. How did you overcome that? Right. And so
How did I overcome it? I don't know that I ever had anxiety over money. I actually, at 20 years old, I moved to Chicago. I didn't have a place really to live. I had to find an apartment. I come from a small town of 10,000 people. And I moved to Chicago and had to get on buses to go to job interviews, not knowing where the buses went. I mean, it was quite an experience. I got lost a lot. And there wasn't really any fear around that. I just had trust and belief and always relied on people to help me through the process. So, with my great aunt saying, hey, I'm going to introduce you to Marvin, it worked out really well. And he showed me how I didn't have to fear. And so I think having support for that process, for any process in life, is so important. And that's probably one of the reasons why there's so many coaches. When I became a coach in 2000, nobody knew, I said, oh, you're a coach. Oh, do you coach volleyball or basketball? I'm like, I don't coach sports, but I will coach you in life. And people now, everybody's a coach, even people that aren't coaches. They call themselves coaches. You don't have to have any training or expertise or knowledge. You can just say, hey, I'm a coach. Being able to have a plan and follow through really takes away the fear.
So when did you start your financial planning journey?
At 20. At 20.
Oh.
Yeah, Marvin set me up. She actually put $500 in a program for me. I think back then it was before 401ks. So, but she added $500, and then I started. My husband and I started saving $50 a month, and
over time.
And over time, I mean, it's been many, many, many years. And, now we have a huge annuity. We still have our 401ks, plenty of cash on hand. Luckily, I just bought a home because I felt like I needed another type of investment besides the other ones that I had. I decided to go into real estate, and I was able to put a huge chunk of money down in cash that I had been accumulating for 3 years, figuring I wanted a huge amount that I could invest in something at some time. So
Congratulations. It's crazy to think when you're 20 years old, you have no idea if you're going to be successful or not, and you look back and you're like, I just bought a house.
yeah, yeah. And
Perfect planning.
well, and it's planning and it's trusting, and it's not caving into the fear, because I think the world really, they push fear at us. If you look at the news, everything is about death, destruction, um, you know the the economy, the health of the nation, and they choose all the bad things that happen. So if we just listen to that and that is our only gauge, then you believe it. But we have the responsibility to look elsewhere, to look at other sources, to look at our friends, our neighbors, our relatives, our co-workers. We really have to look at all different areas in our lives to not just take that first answer. And that's really why I love working with my clients, because we get to discover what is best for them and where they can find the answers. I might have suggestions, but they may have some even better ones. And so we work with what works for them, not what works for me.
Right. So having your own business in coaching, is it difficult to get new business, or are you strictly on a referral process, or do you do your own marketing so new people can find you?
Yeah. So yes, and yes, and yes. So referrals are great, of course. And I do marketing. I market through several different ways. One of the ways that I market actually is because I work with business people. I mark in a business platform. And right now that business platform is LinkedIn. And I have a marketing director that is responsible for doing all of my LinkedIn marketing, finding the people, connecting with the people, and doing that first initial introductions until I can step in to make a personal connection with them.
Right. That's great. Yeah, LinkedIn is very valuable. That's how we met.
That's how we met. Yep. Yep. I just talked to someone a minute ago from Canada that's how we met too. When COVID started, I really started working exclusively in the LinkedIn platform. And I have met such amazing people,
Yeah.
just in businesses that I had no idea existed, in people that should have retired 20 years ago or could have retired 20 years ago and is still finding their mission and their passions so that they continue to work, in young people that have amazing ideas and concepts that is going to move our country forward in a positive way. So being able to expand and not shrink as we age, I really believe that part of the challenge of the elderly is that their worlds become so small, they don't see anything except themselves. And when you only see yourselves, you worry about your health, you worry about your stress levels, you worry about what's going to happen to you in the future. When you can expand yourself, expand your view, then you look at the world in general. In my coaching, I actually teach levels of listening, and listening is not taught very many places. It's all about how to talk, right? How to make a speech, do a TED talk, but very few people teach you how to listen. And one of the types of listening that I talk about is called global listening. And it's listening totally outward to the universe, beyond your friends and family, out to what is really happening in the world, what is going on here, and what we can do about it. And when you start listening that way, your world just expands even more.
Wow. The words of wisdom.
Thanks.
So, what are some leaders or entrepreneurs that you looked up to throughout your growth as an entrepreneur yourself?
Well, certainly, many of my silent entrepreneurs have been Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor. Luckily, I have a program that I do on a monthly basis called Unleash Your Free Spirit. And last month, the personal writer to Bob Proctor, his personal writer for 30 years before his passing, was our guest on our event. So it was so great to see that connection between myself and Bob Proctor, who I only met a couple times, and to be able to actually get to know a little bit more of him, but also Les Brown, most Tony Robbins. I mean, most of the people that are well respected in the area, certainly I look up to. But I think that we have to also look inward into our own spirit for guidance and to see what's best for us at the moment and in the future, and really look upward for guidance also, because it's not only the people that guide us, it is ourselves and our spirit.
What did you learn from them?
What did I
I know there's plenty of things to learn from those leaders, but what are some of the biggest life-changing realizations that you made within yourself to push forward?
Wow, that's a great question. Some of the most life-changing experiences and things that I've learned from some of the leaders that, I guess really what made a huge difference to me is that they are such great people, great individuals, and such real people. So when you get to meet some leaders, I know when I was young, you look up to someone and you go, oh my gosh, they are so awesome, they're so perfect. And to see them as laid back and just talking, and some of the events that I've been to, you get to sit around in the evening and people take out guitars and you sing and you tell stories and just be real people. And to be able to know that, the person that you see is the real person, that to me has been the best lesson. So that you don't have to put on a veil of professionalism and be completely separate from everybody, that you can be just who you are and what you believe in all the time.
Yep, exactly. It's very difficult to put what you think your best foot forward is all the time, because eventually it gets very exhausting and people are eventually going to see who you really are, what you should have been putting out from the beginning.
Right. And that's what's going to be attractive. So back when I was in corporate business, I was a young mom and I had to take my son to daycare every morning and pick him up every night. And it was a process. And I felt that about halfway home at night, I was still that business person. I had that business persona, and I was a woman in a male dominated business. I sold constant voltage transformers and ballasts. I mean, all electronics. So it was all men. And so I had to put this persona up that I was this woman in a man's world, and I had to kind of act like the men. And it wasn't until I was about halfway home that then I became mom. And I became the wife. I became the sister. I became that person that was at home that, loved to garden and do things with my family. And getting to know some of these people and who they really are, to see them just as regular people, and to know that, gee, I can just be me all the time. That was just absolutely the best.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. I made that realization a little while ago, and I have more energy in the day. I don't care what someone's perception of me is, because if the connection isn't made right there, then it wouldn't have lasted anyway. It's not
Exactly. Yeah, you are so
what I think
exactly
and
right,
talk
Ian.
about with people, if it's not a genuine connection, and that's okay. It's okay to be different from others. You'll find some people that you think alike.
Right. So the concept right now in business is, right, there's 4 different personalities, and there's all these different plans that, the different colors and the different animals and the different everything. But basically it all boils down to there's introverts and there's extroverts, and there's party people and not party people, and people that want um, like numbers and not. And with those other types of people, you can't be everything to everybody. You are a blend of them, yes, but you do have a primary personality. And that doesn't mean that you can't have a relationship with someone from another personality, but it doesn't mean that you should be that person. And I think that's where the distinction is.
That's right. What's your biggest financial lesson for people that are looking to start their own business or just in general?
My biggest financial lesson is to never overextend, and to make sure that you're planning for the future, and to always, find a financial planner, and find someone that you trust and that has your best interest in heart, that can help you create a plan so that 20, 30 years from now, you can buy a house, or you can do whatever you want with your money. You can leave it to someone. You can, take a trip around the world. My great aunt, the last year of her life, that's what she did. She took a trip around the world in her mid 80s.
Wow.
And because she was able to.
Wow.
So
People keep doing that.
yeah. Yeah.
Or some people, they completely give up on it because they don't think they can even get there. But even people in their 20s or 30s, but if they start planning now, it's possible.
Well, and I also believe that if you're in your 40s or 50s, it's not too late.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, you may not have as much money, but at 40 and 50, you're making a lot more, and could probably put more than $50 a month in an account. Maybe not, but you have more cash at that age. And I think as you get later in life, you start looking to what's going to happen if. In the 20s or 30s, I mean, I started doing it just because my great aunt said to do it. Wasn't because I thought that I was going to be a millionaire by the time I, reached 50 or 60. It was because she said, hey, I'm introducing you to Marvin. But in your 40s, now you have that desire to really do something for the future and to plan for your future, and not only your future, but your children's future. I mean, why not start a college fund for your children, or a vacation fund, or whatever you want to do? It's totally, totally feasible at any age. I mean, I continue, to this day to, to save my money and to figure out new things that I'm going to do with it. My son-in-law says, well, I think I know what we should do with the money. I'm like, okay, what should we do? He said, I own a house around on a pond. He said, let's buy all the houses around the pond. Wouldn't that be fun? Like, sure, yeah, that'll be a great thing to do. So, that's one of the things that not going to happen overnight, but what does really?
Right, exactly. Nothing, everything good, it comes with delayed gratification.
Isn't that right? Yeah, that's very, very true. That's very, very true.
A lot of younger people these days don't think that. And
Well, no, because this is the instant gratification world, right? I know the kids across the street. I mean, they have to have it now, and they don't think about what the effect is going to have on anything. I mean, they're young enough to go to their mother and say, hey, I need another $20 and $50 there, and they're always asking, um, because they don't have a concept.
when I was a kid, I could make 20 bucks the last 3 months, 2, 3 months, and when we were growing up, video games came out around when I was, well, they probably came out before, but they became more popular when I was around 8, 9, 10. But in those early years, we spent most of our time outside. And that's not something I see these days with kids. You don't see many kids playing around outside anymore. Everyone's
No,
inside their
yeah,
iPad.
you're so right, Ian. So every evening in the summertime, I live in Chicago, so it's not always good weather, but when we can, my husband and I actually sit on the porch. And last night, we had the neighbors across the street come over and stay for a while. We had the other neighbors down the block. They came over with their kids and stayed for a while and just hang out and talk and visit and, solve the problems of the world on the front porch, basically. And very, very few people come by walking their dogs or bicycling, not even like it was 2 years ago.
Excuse me.
You're excused. It is a lot less, and so my husband and I try to stay visible. So for anyone that comes over, they're welcome on my front porch,
Right.
and they can sit down and talk and solve the problems of the world.
What legacy do you want to leave behind?
So I want to leave a legacy of integrity and responsibility. I decided that when I first had my grandchildren, to be the best person that I could be, so that they could see and I could model that for them, that making a difference in other people's lives, and not relying totally on government or other things that give a lot of stuff, and then take control over the stuff that you have. So just being able to pass on the belief that we are here for a purpose, and part of that purpose is to pass the purpose on to the next generation.
And finally, what's a message you want to leave with the audience?
I guess if I would leave a message, I would say it's never too late. I went back to school just, a couple years ago. I didn't think ever. It wasn't easy. Writing those papers, never was fun, and it's not any more fun now. But it's never too late to have a dream. It's never too late to find something new. It's never too late to create a new relationship, to meet someone new, to expand your vision, your mission, to be able to make the world a better place. And even as my friend who recently passed, she was making a difference from her bedroom. She couldn't get up anymore, but she had people visit her, and she made them laugh and made them feel good about themselves. So I believe that it's never too late, that just start. And sometimes that's the hardest place to be.
That's really inspiring. Speaking of good causes, any causes that you are passionate about?
Well, so I'm on a board for a foundation called the Be Jolly Foundation, and it's actually helping autistic kids. And one of my passions is the outdoors and gardening, and just creating life from seed. And so the Be Jolly Foundation actually works with autistic children and plants fruit trees in communities, and takes care of those trees, and then harvests the fruit from the trees, to help these children in having a responsibility, having friendships, and being able to see something that starts so small to actually blossom into something huge. So that's one of my greatest passions right now for cause.
And what are some of your biggest accomplishments?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know that I have a whole lot of accomplishments. I've got all those little things that, I was named Women of Achievement for the state of Illinois. I'm in the um, guide for most successful women. But I don't consider those achievements. I think my achievements is actually my children and grandchildren, seeing their success, um, seeing my 16-year-old grandchild and her artistic ability, and seeing my 10-year-old grandson being able to walk up to anyone in the world and start a conversation with them, no matter what their age.
Yeah.
And so I see that as my real achievement.
Got to make sure he holds on to that skill because that's going to help him in life.
Oh my gosh, he's got the dimples, and I tell you, little old ladies just gravitate to him. It's just amazing.
That's great. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Ian. It's been a pleasure, um, and I look forward to continuing our business relationship and helping one another.
Yep. Likewise. Thank you again. You enjoy your week.
Thank you.